This is the Talent, Sales, and Scale Show.
And failed, and I've learned from every one of those failures. And if you've been in an industry for 20 years with success, you're going to realize failure is part of that. And so I'm a completely honest person. If anybody's listened to my podcast, I tell them I have failed. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Everyone does. The ones that tell you they haven't, the ones that say they've just knocked it out of the park every single time, every single year, are just lying to you, because nobody is that great. Nobody is that perfect. And you're always going to kind of rise to your level of incompetence, no matter what you're doing. And then you have to retrain yourself, and then you have to learn new processes. And so I have spent 20 years in sales, mostly in medical and pharma, but I started off with Enterprise Rent-A-Car and their management training program, which was
a great management training program, by the way.
Absolutely. And I learned more in the 4 years there than I probably did in the next 10 in the medical pharma space, as far as sales training, as far as business acumen, et cetera. So it really set me up for success. So if you're listening right now, one of the things I recommend you do is go find a company that has outstanding training. And there are some in the medical pharmaceutical space, but what I find is a lot of the B2B, the places where you have to cut your teeth, the copier sales, payroll sales, the enterprises of the world, uniform sales, anywhere where you have to go and you do a lot of pounding the pavement and you don't know exactly where you're going and you deal with a lot of interactions and customers. I don't know how many sales interactions I've had, but I definitely know it's more than the 10,000 hours for expertise that Malcolm Gladwell talks about in his book Outliers, which is one of my favorite books. He's one of my favorite authors. If you're not familiar with Malcolm Gladwell, I don't think there's a terrible read in any of his books. My favorite is Outliers, but I also like Blink. There's a couple others that are very interesting. Back on topic, I think one of the things that I also have been very fortunate is I've had good mentors. And so I've learned from some of the best. And then what I did was I partnered with them. So my partner, who I think should be on the show as well, Bryan, in the future, he is, I call him the sales ninja, because I'm more of a big thinker, process, building a system. And he can walk in and analyze things so quickly. And he's a machine. I've been on calls with him, and usually within 2 to 3 questions, he's getting his prospects to agree with him and buying, which, I'm more conversational. I like to sit down and kind of know about the past, the present, and the future. And he just can figure out, without being sleazy, like there's no shtick. It's just, he's an unbelievable listener. He's rehearsed and practiced 10 to 15,000 times. And so he's kind of taught me what I was lacking. And so, going back to your original point, I don't know if I'd consider myself an expert because I'm still learning. I believe that there's still knowledge that can be learned every day, but I do understand, as far as, when people say you're an expert because you've done X, Y, or Z, I do understand. So I guess in some regards, I feel like I am an expert because I've gone through the battles, I've failed, I've won. But on the other hand, I feel like I've got so much more to learn, but I've also got so much more to give back to the sales community.
Yeah, it's kind of curious. The more you learn, the more you feel like a failure, because you realize how much there is still yet to learn. I got just a quick aside. Yeah. I was on a peer group the other day, and I'm pretty decent at sales. I think I'm pretty decent. And I had a different methodology of taking this framework through. And this guy just lambasted me about some of the questions I was asking. So I don't care how good you think you are, you're going to get humbled pretty darn quickly. Now, I would like to hit this. So we've talked about failure and learning from your failures in the past. Well, I'm not going to bring that up too deeply. I'm not going to go down that path. However, just realize that the biggest lessons that you're going to learn come from your failures. And if you haven't failed, you haven't tried hard enough. So make sure that you go out and fail, suck your thumb a couple of minutes, get over it, and then get back in the game. Other people won't survive it, and that's what's going to set you apart. So get out and fail.